My sister and I finished medical school together, but our parents paid off her student loans while ignoring my costs. She deserves it more, honey. When they attended her debt-free celebration, they had a little surprise waiting. My sister and I both finished medical school, but our parents paid off all her student loans while I was left to figure things out on my own. They really celebrated her being debt-free. At her party, Mom said, barely glancing up from arranging fancy cupcakes, Jessica's always been more dedicated. You've always had other interests. That casual dismissal hurt more than an argument. I stood there in their kitchen, my new medical diploma in its frame, trying to understand. Mom, we both graduated with honors, same GPA. Why would you and Dad pay off all of Jessica's loans and none of mine? My mother sighed, giving me that look of slight disappointment. Audrey, your sister doesn't have a wealthy mentor like Dr. Fleming interested in her future. You've always had advantages Jessica didn't. I almost laughed. Dr. Vivian Fleming was my research advisor because I earned it through long hours in the lab, while Jessica was skiing with them. The advantage was me working myself to exhaustion while my twin got their full support. So, I'm being penalized for finding my own mentors? I asked, trying to hide the hurt. Dad walked in, putting his arm around Mom. No one's punishing you, Audrey. We're just being practical. Your sister needs more help than you do. You've always been more resourceful. Resourceful. That was their word for never attending my research presentations but flying to Jessica's volleyball games. Resourceful was why Jessica got a new car for her 20th birthday, and I got a gas station gift card. Tomorrow was Jessica's debt-free party, their idea. They'd invited everyone, celebrating Jessica's achievement as if being debt-free was her doing, not their financial choice. I need to head out, I said, grabbing my bag. Early hospital shift tomorrow. Will you still make it to Jessica's party? Mom asked, finally sounding concerned not for me, but for how my absence might look. I'll be there, I promised, though it made my stomach churn. Walking to my car, my phone buzzed. It was Dr. Fleming. Need to speak urgently about the Patterson Fellowship. Big news. A cold feeling came over me. Their favoritism wasn't just unfair. It was about to become public and I couldn't stop it. Jessica and I had been on different paths since birth. I was born first, 6 minutes before her. Family always said I was quiet and observant, while Jessica arrived with a strong cry. Maybe that set the tone. Growing up in Cleveland, Jessica was outgoing, made friends easily, and loved sports. I was quieter, more into books, spending time at the library. Our parents went to all of Jessica's games and recitals. My science fair wins got a quick "good job, Audrey." By high school, the pattern was set. When we both wanted to go to medical school, they were thrilled for Jessica. For me, there were worried talks about the workload. Medical school isn't just about being smart, Audrey, Dad warned. It's about determination. And Jessica has always pushed herself harder. The irony stung. In undergrad at Ohio State, I had a perfect GPA while working part-time. Jessica struggled, needing expensive tutors our parents gladly paid for. When she had to retake the MCAT, they paid for a prep course. When I scored high on my first try, they just said, "That's nice, dear." Despite it all, I didn't resent Jessica. She was my sister, my twin, and I loved her. She didn't create their favoritism. She just benefited. Sometimes I thought she felt uneasy about it, though she never said so. We both got into the same medical school in Michigan. For 4 years, we studied together, supported each other, and celebrated our successes. I hoped our parents would finally see us as equals. Instead, they found new ways to highlight Jessica's achievements while downplaying mine. When I was chosen to present research at a national conference, Jessica coincidentally received a community service award that weekend. Guess which event our parents attended? But things changed in our final year when Dr. Vivian Fleming, a renowned neurosurgeon, noticed my research on pediatric brain injuries. Under her, I thrived. For the first time, someone saw my potential, pushing me because of it, not in spite of it. "You have a gift for research, Audrey," Dr. Fleming once said. "You see patterns others miss. That can't be taught." If only my parents could see me through her eyes. The morning before Jessica's party, I met Dr. Fleming, a striking woman with silver hair and sharp blue eyes. Her office was filled with awards and photos. "Audrey, sit down," she said. "I have extraordinary news." My heart raced. I'd been waiting to hear about the Patterson Fellowship at Johns Hopkins, the top neurosurgical research spot. The committee has made their decision, Dr. Fleming said, her face neutral. I held my breath. They've selected you. She smiled broadly. Congratulations, Dr. Audrey Collins. You're going to Baltimore. Joy, disbelief, and validation washed over me. The Patterson Fellowship, the peak for a neuroresearcher, was mine. I don't know what to say, I stammered. You earned this, Dr. Fleming said firmly. Your research was groundbreaking. The fellowship included a stipend, housing, and complete loan forgiveness. I'd be debt-free like Jessica, but through my own work. There's more, Dr. Fleming continued, her eyes twinkling. I've been invited to Jessica's celebration tonight. Your parents invited faculty, not knowing about our mentorship. I'd like to announce the fellowship news there, if you're okay with it. My stomach dropped. I don't know, Dr. Fleming. It's supposed to be Jessica's night, and my parents might think I'm stealing her spotlight. Dr. Fleming's expression hardened slightly. Audrey, I've seen your family dynamic. Sometimes recognition needs to be public to be acknowledged at all. She was right. If my parents heard privately, they'd minimize it. Okay, I nodded slowly. You can announce it. Leaving her office, I got a text from Jessica. Mom's going overboard for tonight. It's embarrassing. Wish she'd put this much effort into celebrating both of us. See you there. I stared confused. It was the first time Jessica acknowledged their unequal treatment. Before I could reply, another text came from Mom. Don't forget business casual, and please let your sister have her moment. This is very important to her. The contrast was stark. Maybe I was wrong about Jessica. Maybe tonight would reveal truths my parents had avoided for years. Jessica's party was at a fancy downtown restaurant. They'd rented the rooftop, which must have cost a fortune. Stepping off the elevator, a big banner read, "Congratulations, Dr. Jessica," with no mention of the other Dr. Collins. I smoothed my dress and took a breath. Tonight was Jessica's, no matter what Dr. Fleming planned. I wouldn't let years of resentment ruin my relationship with my twin. Jessica spotted me and rushed over. She looked great in a silver dress, her blonde hair in a trendy bob. Thank God you're here. Aunt Patty has asked 5 times if I have a boyfriend yet. I laughed despite my nerves. What did you tell her? That I'm married to medicine. But if she knows any eligible neurosurgeons. Jessica linked her arm through mine. Seriously though, this is ridiculous. Mom invited half the medical school. Dean Wilson is here. I saw him chatting with Dad. Wow, they really went all out. Too all out, Jessica whispered. It's mortifying. And why just for me? We both graduated, we both worked our butts off. The knot in my stomach loosened a bit. Maybe Jessica knew more than I thought. Audrey, Jessica. Mom appeared, champagne in hand. Jessica, the Hendersons just arrived. You remember Thomas Henderson, the chief of surgery at Cleveland Memorial? You should say hello. She took Jessica's arm, separating us, then looked back at me. Audrey, could you check if the caterers have the gluten-free options? Your cousin Beth is being difficult again. Just like that, I was managing catering while Jessica was introduced to hospital bigwigs. Some things never changed. I was directing staff when Dr. Fleming arrived, elegant in a crimson suit. Audrey, she said warmly, hugging me, are you ready for our announcement? I'm not sure, I admitted. The timing feels complicated. Fleming looked around at the banner, the cake with only Jessica's name, the slideshow mostly of Jessica. I see, she said quietly. More complicated than I realized. Across the terrace, I saw my parents introducing Jessica to Dr. Margaret Wu, the chief neurosurgeon at Detroit Medical Center, where we'd both applied for residency. My stomach clenched. Were they trying to get Jessica a spot through connections? Dr. Fleming, Dad had spotted her and was approaching with Mom and Jessica. What an honor to have you join us. I understand you've done some work with Audrey. Some work. Dr. Fleming raised an eyebrow. Audrey has been my primary research partner for the past 2 years. Her contribution to our brain injury study was crucial. My parents exchanged a look I couldn't read. How nice, Mom said vaguely. Jessica has also been very involved in neurosurgical research. In fact, Dr. Wu was just saying how impressed she is with Jessica's application. I felt anger rising. Jessica hadn't done neurosurgical research. Her focus was neuropsychiatry. My parents were misrepresenting her, possibly hurting my own chances. Dr. Fleming's expression was pleasant, but her eyes were sharp. Is that so? How fascinating. I was under the impression that Jessica's focus was on psychiatric applications rather than surgical interventions. An awkward silence fell. My small hope was fading. This announcement would make things worse. Dinner started. My parents sat at the head table with Jessica, our grandparents, and Dr. Wu. I was at a side table with cousins close enough to hear. We always knew Jessica was destined for greatness, Dad was saying to Dr. Wu. Even when they were little, Jessica showed such determination. She's always been our ambitious one. Each word stung. I pushed my food around, my appetite gone. Nearby, Dr. Fleming caught my eye with a sympathetic look. After dessert, Dad tapped his glass. Thank you all for celebrating our daughter Jessica's remarkable achievement. Medical school is tough, and to finish debt-free is truly special. Polite applause. Jessica looked uncomfortable. We're blessed to have supported Jessica, Mom added, standing. We always believed in investing in her future, because we knew she'd make us proud. I stared at my plate, tears welling. They'd invested in Jessica, not both of us. The message was clear. Actually, Jessica said suddenly, standing up. She looked right at me apologetically. This celebration feels incomplete. Audrey and I both graduated with the same GPA. We both worked incredibly hard, and frankly, Audrey worked harder because she didn't have the support I did. A hush fell. My parents looked stunned. Jessica, Mom whispered. This isn't the time. It's exactly the time, Jessica insisted. I can't accept recognition that excludes my sister. It's not right, and it never has been. My throat tightened. After all these years, Jessica was publicly acknowledging the imbalance. It was both vindicating and heartbreaking. Dad recovered quickly, his voice too cheerful. Of course, we're proud of both our girls. Audrey has done very well too. But tonight is about celebrating Jessica being debt-free, which is a special achievement. An achievement you facilitated, not one I earned, Jessica countered, her voice steady. The tension in the room was thick. This was becoming their worst fear. Their perfect family image cracking in public. Dr. Fleming stood. If I might add something, she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. This seems like a good time to share some news about Audrey that many of you may not know. My parents exchanged worried glances. Audrey's research on neurovascular regeneration has earned her the Patterson Fellowship at Johns Hopkins, Dr. Fleming announced. For those unfamiliar, this is the most prestigious position for a graduating medical student. It comes with full loan forgiveness and a substantial stipend. Gasps and murmurs spread. Dr. Wu looked at me with new interest. My cousins were whispering excitedly. In fact, Dr. Fleming continued, the committee specifically cited Audrey's innovative approach, which she developed largely on her own while balancing her clinical work. I've mentored many promising doctors, but rarely have I seen Audrey's dedication and insight. The room erupted in applause, genuine applause for me. People turned to look at me, smiling with respect. My parents remained frozen, their faces a mix of shock, confusion, and dawning horror as their carefully built story fell apart. Jessica was beaming at me, no jealousy at all. Additionally, Dr. Fleming went on, I've personally arranged for the rest of Audrey's medical school loans to be covered by our department's scholarship, recognizing her extraordinary research contributions. I was debt-free too, and I'd earned it. After Dr. Fleming's announcement, the party changed. Faculty who'd been around Jessica now came to me, asking about my research and congratulating me. My clinical supervisors shared kind stories about my work with patients. My parents stayed at their table still shocked. They weren't just processing my fellowship and loan forgiveness. They were seeing their narrative about us unravel. Jessica came to my side, champagne in hand. Congratulations, sis, she said, clinking glasses. The Patterson Fellowship, that's incredible. Why didn't you tell me? I only found out this morning, I said. And I didn't want to overshadow your celebration. Jessica frowned. This ridiculous party was Mom and Dad's idea, not mine. I tried to tell them it was over the top and unfair to you, but you know how they get. You did? I asked, surprised. Of course I did, Jessica said, looking hurt. Audrey, I've always known they treated us differently. I didn't know how to fix it without making things worse. Before I could answer, Dr. Margaret Wu approached us. Dr. Collins, she said to me, I was very impressed by Dr. Fleming's account of your research. We should discuss you bringing your work to our neurosurgery department instead of Johns Hopkins. I blinked surprised. That's very flattering, Dr. Wu, but she's already accepted the Patterson, Jessica interjected, putting her arm around me proudly. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But you should know my sister never does just one revolutionary thing at a time. I bet she'll have another groundbreaking study soon after arriving in Baltimore. Dr. Wu smiled. Well, when you've completed the fellowship, keep Detroit in mind. We'd be fortunate to have you. She nodded to Jessica. Both of you in your respective specialties. After she left, I turned to Jessica amazed. You didn't have to do that. I know you wanted to stay in Detroit for your residency. I still can, Jessica said. But I won't do it by letting Mom and Dad manipulate things or by letting you miss out on opportunities. That's not who I want to be. Across the room, I saw my parents finally getting up, moving toward us hesitantly, stopped by guests wanting to talk about me. A new experience that clearly unsettled them. Here they come, Jessica murmured. Ready for this? Not really, I admitted. Dr. Fleming certainly had some impressive things to say about you, Dad said when they reached us, his tone trying to sound proud while hiding his confusion. The Patterson Fellowship, that's quite an honor. Why didn't you tell us you were even being considered for something so prestigious? Mom asked, a hint of accusation in her voice. Would it have mattered? I asked quietly. You've made it clear where your support and interests lie. My parents exchanged uncomfortable glances. That's not fair, Audrey, Dad began. We always supported both of you differently, Mom cut in quickly. Because you had different needs. Jessica shook her head. Mom, Dad, let's not do this tonight. But we are going to have a real conversation about this soon. All of us. She gave me a meaningful look. No more pretending. Dr. Fleming appeared at my elbow. Audrey, the dean would like a word. Something about featuring your fellowship in the alumni magazine. She smiled at my parents, her expression pleasant but her eyes firm. You must be incredibly proud to have raised two such accomplished daughters, though I imagine it's particularly gratifying to see Audrey's hard work recognized after all she's overcome. The emphasis on overcome was subtle but clear. My parents had the grace to look embarrassed. Well, Mom said weakly, we've always known Audrey was special too. Too little, too late. The week after the party was a whirlwind. News of my fellowship spread, and suddenly doors opened. Former professors emailed congratulations. Classmates claimed close friendship. My parents tried damage control, showing up with gift bags and forced smiles. We've been thinking, Dad said, placing a small box on my table. With both of you starting your careers, we should get you something special. Inside was a rose gold watch, identical to Jessica's birthday gift. It's lovely, I said, not reaching for it, though a bit late. Mom flinched. Audrey, we know you must feel overlooked sometimes, but everything we did was because we knew you could handle things on your own. Jessica needed more support. That's a convenient narrative, I replied, my voice steady, but it doesn't explain why you attended her presentations but skipped mine, why you paid for her MCAT prep but told me to use free online resources, why you covered her living expenses but suggested I take out more loans.